What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch from RespectMyRegion.com, back with another episode of the North American Weed Tour podcast, where we're looking at the best in legal cannabis across the U.S. and beyond. Today, I'm joined by a special guest out of the Michigan market, Ryan Ratzloff of Lion Labs, and we're going to be talking about the Element brand. But I know you guys got a couple brands. But how you doing today, Ryan?
I'm doing awesome. How you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. Hanging in there. I'm up in the Seattle area where we're into the gloom today after a 90 degree day yesterday. So I'm feeling just extra at home today.
Nice.
Anyways, I kick off every episode with our guest origin story around the plant being cannabis is a big thing for me, just to help break down the stigma and kind of just talk about, our origins with the thing that brings us all here in the industry we're operating in. So whatever you choose to be vulnerable and sharing, whether that's personal, professional, or both, I'm just curious kind of your origin story with cannabis.
Awesome. Yeah. So, my origin story kicks off, I'm sure, like many others. Started smoking a little bit when I was probably 15, and then loved it. Thought, made everything funny and made everything taste better. Everything, I did, I seemed to enjoy a little bit more. And then, once I got through high school and into college, it became more of an everyday kind of thing. Michigan didn't look like it had any chance of it being, a path to a career. So, I went to school for food marketing and consumer packaged goods. Started a career at Pepsi right around the same time Michigan allowed for a medical use license. I dabbled in growing a little bit while in college. It wasn't good or successful. I mean, it was just, some kind of backyard stuff. And then once 2008 happened and they said, hey, here's a path forward, I jumped all in. Me and a couple partners decided, hey, let's see what we can do. We're super interested, threw a couple $1,000 in a spare bedroom, just kept reading and reading and reading like a lot of the older guys. I just dove 2 feet into, IC Mag, read every forum and every thread of everything anyone would put out there. Started out popping some DJ Short Blueberry, some Northern Lights, some White Widow, I think AK-47. Those are the first 4 strains we ran, and things went really well. We started crushing. Yields were good. Quality was great. We were super happy with it. And we kind of, that was a side hustle for a while. And the law started to shift and change. And I took kind of my expertise from the CPG marketing world, went out west, talked to some dispensary owners and some shops about how they think about cannabis, how they think about, building a great consumer experience for people in the stores, and realized they didn't really, they weren't looking at it through the same lens like a large company would. They didn't have a lot of strategy. They just put stuff out and hoped it sold. So, that seemed like a big opportunity to, from the brand side, help shops become legit. Also, at the same time, we started, we built out a nice small commercial grow at the caregiver level, what we were allowed to do to kind of showcase our skills and our abilities. It was, state of the art for what you could do at the time. But also realized branding flower is really difficult. Live resin had just started to become a thing. None of the equipment that they had manufactured could successfully make live resin. So we, one of my partners, we thought, we had a low temp dab, and that was it. We never looked back. It was all that flavor and smell fresh on the plant that we could smoke continuously. And then we immediately decided this is the future. This is what we want to do. This is our passion. We started throwing all of our flower at, building, some live resin processing equipment, building it from scratch, and kept fine tuning and working with all the different variables to get the coldest, best product out in the market. And that was it. We founded Element. That was based, really, the kind of the fundamental piece of that was transparency and doing small batches and testing every batch and communicating terpenes and communicating residual solvents and everything that mattered to everybody at the time, because we didn't trust other people that were, that were going to do the right thing. And, that's kind of how we started Element. That's Element's the foundation for Lion Labs, which we're operating today, which is, a small house of brands.
Yeah, and with Element, I know that you guys, the goal with that is to stay in the live resin. You mean, I believe it's on your website, and from our previous conversation, free of distillate, no botanical terpenes or additives, just staying true to the plant. what's kind of the emphasis? I mean, I know you said, did that really start with just like your personal, like personally consuming with that style of product and being like, yeah, this is it? Or what was the commitment to making that live resin?
Well, so the goal was to create the best vape cart in the world. We tried other products; they were awful. Distillate flavored carts were not our thing. We knew there would be a way to get there. The hardware didn't exist at the time that really allowed us to have a type of viscosity that we could create that would work in a product. And to this day, I've got five carts in my pocket right now that we're continually trying to drive the hardware piece on. But the unique thing that really put us on the map, and this was in search of trying to make the greatest cart and concentrates, we inadvertently developed a method that allowed us to separate THCA from the cannabinoids at scale in a way that no one was doing at the time or thought possible. And so a buddy was vending at a Cannabis Cup, and he thought, hey, look, you have this pile of crystal over here and these buckets of sauce over here. Why don't you show everybody what this is about? And so we threw the THCA in the cup just because it looked cool. We didn't think anyone would ever want diamonds. We thought, what a useless pile of diamonds this is. Everybody wants these little jars of sauce over here. That's where all the flavor is. So, we got third place in the cup, and then the whole High Times team came by. All the people that we'd grown up reading their articles, and they came over and were blown away and said, we've never seen anything like this. This is amazing. It's 98% or whatever THCA, and it still tastes true to the plant. And shit, you guys, you need help with anything, like hit the line. We're happy to be here for you if you're innovating and doing stuff like this. And then, then we entered the next cup and went third, second. The next cup, first. And went, oh shit, we need to jump into this. As right at the same time, the laws were changing, kind of allowing for a path that we could exist in the market. And a lot of us, everyone in our company, basically quit their day jobs, took a huge pay cut to come grind it out in cannabis and try to get behind the passion that we had for the plant and for the concentrates. And that's really what, helped us springboard into the market, was staying true to the plant, staying true to, the terpenes, and never really letting our standards slide. No additives, no distillate ever for element, nothing like that. And just getting that THCA isolate, which is a great product. We still sell. It's one of the number one selling things we have today. And that helped us really develop the, what we consider the next generation of cart, which we've been pushing here, from day one.
Yeah, and you guys have pretty good market presence and sales volume when you look at like the category of cartridges, right? Like usually the stuff that you see kind of have the most presence or the most volume being that distillate, being that more value, high THC, low cost. That's where a lot of the market, no matter what state you're in, goes to. But you guys seem to have like a really strong presence with a more premium level of product, especially being in Michigan where it's not as mature. I know you guys have had a caregivers program for a while, but as far as adult use, it's not as mature as some of these other markets that you guys have been able to build that out with like a premium product that usually takes a little bit of consumer maturity to get to. Was that something you feel like that early on people just adapted to? And do you think it is kind of to the quality, the testament to the quality you guys put out, or is it that ability to kind of do quality at scale and still get it to the consumer at a decent price?
Well, I think it's all that. So when you looked at like the Michigan caregiver model, it started in 2008. Obviously, people were growing and making products before then, but no one went crazy like in California. Nobody had the balls to go blow out a 20 or 30,000 square foot processing center and hit every store and really, go nuts with it. So it forced everyone to be small and crafty and drive quality. Michigan, I think from the West Coast perspective is, we get a lot of shit from those guys for, being Midwest and not being, part of the original OG group that started doing this stuff. But because we were in this unique situation where you had 100 small craft guys trying to make a name for themselves, it allowed everyone to really make great products and to focus on quality, not just bang it out, because there wasn't an option to go sell 20,000, 30,000 grams a week. It was all small craft stuff. So, that helped us build a small base. When we started, we only by design wanted to be in 4 or 5 stores, one in each market, to help see what kind of products we want to do. When we knew that we were going to enter into licensing, we wanted all the bugs and kinks worked out, so we didn't stumble out of the gate. So we had all our processes down. we knew how to scale up. So that was, you know, kind of the trend that we went. But we were able to get equipment out there that was big enough that we could run 5, 10, 20 times more than we were running, and colder and better and faster. So the scale up on the concentrate end for us was easy. Actually, you know, moving from smaller systems that were more restrictive to like large busy bees allowed us to control all the temps at any point we want and go as low as we want and have total control and be much faster. So that part was really actually easy for us. But the reason I think we've been able to remain, you know, the #1 selling live resin in Michigan significantly is because we really hold standards to a high degree. We guarantee everything we sell. If you have a bad experience, we got you. We're not going to let you have a bad experience. We want everything to be great. Most likely, if you didn't like something, it's just because that cultivar wasn't for you. It's not because it, you know, what the principles of being true to the plant, true to the strain, high terpenes, you know, are the linchpins of what we do. And the reason I think we're able to maintain that is nothing goes out of here that 3 or 4, you know, owners in the company didn't touch. And we all stand around every pour and go, yeah, this is good. Try it. Make sure it you know, there's nothing funky going on. Is it true to strain? Did it come out great? Are we proud of it? Then it goes. If not, honestly, we usually sell it to another processor that slaps their name on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The good old smell test that won't fail you in cannabis, and I like that. And you know, with that, right, like of being able to put out a quality product, right, like in the consumer demographic, like we said, a lot of people kind of look to high THC, low cost. What is that separation in your mind between cheap and quality, and kind of the correlation between the two? Can quality be cheap? Is quality always going to be a little bit more expensive, or what's that look like from your perspective?
I mean, for me, I think a lot of it's the experience. I think, you know, if you smoke a distillate cart, there's really no variation between any of the large brands of distillate. Distillate's distillate. You're going to have the same effect up and down, you know, across the board. I think it's really where that user group breaks off. The more experienced user, the connoisseur, really is going to gravitate towards, you know, getting a full spectrum of effect. If they love a certain strain, they can find that in a cartridge and it'll have a similar effect for them. And I think that's most of what our consumers are looking for. They want it to slap. They want high terps. They want to taste the flower. You know, and that's where it's all about. You know, one of our biggest concerns, you know, globally for cannabis in general, is that a lot of newcomers coming into the plant, their first experiences are going to be some bubblegum tasting vape product. And then that's what they're going to know cannabis to be. Or it tastes like fruit punch, or it tastes like this other bullshit. And, you know, that's bad for all of us that care about the plant. You know, because I'm from the Midwest, and have been smoking for 25 years, I grew up with Michigan brickweed, where I was picking stems and stones out of it. And then we had, you know, beasters, which were better, but not great. And it wasn't until, you know, 98, 99, 2000 that chronic started rolling around. And we were happy to throw $60 an eighth at the dude down the street that could get that and stick it to the wall. And that changed everything for us when we were able to, you know, brag about how sticky it was and how much it stank, and it stunk your whole house up, and you had to, you know, that changed everything for everyone here. But I went through that transition, so I appreciate it. I appreciate the flower. I know, you know, I hunted for hazes and for different types of plant, and I think our biggest risk is that people coming in won't have that. They won't appreciate the flower.
Mhm.
Sometimes we'll have people call and say, "This doesn't taste like this. Says tangerine. It doesn't taste like clementines or tangy or anything. This, you know, my tangy carts I'm used to smoking slap me with oranges." And it's like, well, it does taste like oranges, but the flower tastes like, not like an actual high C.
Mhm.
So, you know, those are really the only negative complaints that we get, are people that don't like flower, don't like
Yeah.
certain products. And the only real big issue, I think, economically, is when the distillate products get so cheap and you can get 15 or 20 for $100, and the more premium live resins and rosins are still, you know, 35 to 50 for a gram or a half gram. That's where that big delta starts to kind of hurt the higher end market, because it's just so much for so big a value, and the market here is crashing.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, we're going to see, I think, a lot of those guys just wash right out. And another year or two, it should stabilize, and I think we'll see a lot of people long term will be looking for higher quality products.
Yeah. You can, and you know, I always liken the cheap price to like I don't know, the better looking person or the person with more money. There's always going to be someone more. There's always going to be, it's hard to win at, hey, I'm the cheapest. Eventually someone can deliver it for cheaper than you. And you might have already shown your cards and stretch your margins to the max. And the way to build, whether it's in cannabis or, vape carts or whatever, it's building a brand that people want. And whether it's a budget friendly brand, a super high end, or somewhere in the middle, right? It's delivering on something that people can connect with more than just price. Because if price is your only value proposition, someone can always beat you on that.
Yeah, and that's not the consumer you want as a brand. You don't want to be the cheap guy because the consumer is just shopping on price. The second somebody else drops a price, they're just going to move over there. So, for us, it's all about quality and consistency.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And part of that, right? Like even on the distillate, right? People are flooding the market with cheaper product and people don't know, one of the conversations that's happened, you know, is CRC, right? Like is this additive that gets added to concentrates that, whatever reason helps them look better than it actually is, or gives it I guess the desired color. I won't say look better, but gives it the desired color that you want, that it didn't naturally come out. We're seeing people, I live in Washington where it's been around for a while. And obviously, like I said, high THC, low price, that moves a lot of the market. In the concentrate game, we see quite a bit of CRC. Some people talk out about it. People are starting to learn about it, but then even the average consumer is now hearing about it but doesn't really know, like, is that immediately bad, is it immediately good? What's kind of your take on CRC, and like, is it good, is it bad, is it a health risk, is it fine? What's your kind of thoughts on that?
I mean, if it's done properly, I don't really see it being a health risk, right? Unless you're getting if the media is staying in the column, I don't really see what could be bad from it or unhealthy if done properly. It's not a product for me. We tried it as soon as it became popular a million different ways. We couldn't really put anything in the market because none of it coming out of the out of the columns smelled or tasted like the strain was supposed to. Right? They all have this awful lemon smell and taste. It smells like lemon cleaner or lemon Sprite, and we're out. It doesn't match the plant. Then we can't put it in our jar. And it's really the whole using color to determine quality is something that I think that hurts, right? We can put out some high terpene cured resin that is just as fire as anything else in the market. It might be darker, maybe it came from outdoor. It doesn't mean it's not of excellent quality. If there's high terpenes in it, it slaps. But the consumer who can't tell the difference, or maybe not be that educated on a brand that consistently putting out quality, has only that to look at, especially nowadays in dispensaries where they can't open the jars, they can't smell the product, they don't know that it's super loud, they don't really understand terpenes, they're just going on color, what they read on Reddit or Instagram, and they see something that looks like rosin and go, oh, that must be better because lighter's better. In reality, it's not. But as a consumer, I think they're tricked a lot of times, or are unwilling to roll the dice to try something darker if they are under the impression that lighter is better. It's like when, back in the day, they used to pull rosin early, a few weeks early, so it would have better color. That blew my mind when we started seeing guys do that, because a lot of those trichomes and terps haven't finished yet. But the color's better. It's like, well, the flavor's not there though. You're killing me, right? So that's we don't CRC. We actually put a no CRC label on all of our concentrate jars and our carts, so people know that we're not doing that. So they're not, there's no confusion there. I'm not going to say it's bad for people, because if done right, it's fine. I understand, the group of people in the industry that think that fractionating out these things out and accounting for 100% of all cannabinoids and terpenes is the goal, but we're still missing a lot of esters and flavonoids and other parts that aren't quantified, and we don't know that those aren't existing and those aren't being removed during the process.
And so for you, someone that's obviously like on the high end of just understanding concentrates in general, and putting that taste and, like you said, the true to the flower kind of at the forefront, not only the products you make, but you even as a consumer preference. When you look at products like based on color, can you almost tell, like, do you use kind of color as a judge of quality, or look at something and be like, I bet that's going to slap, or does it not hold as much weight as one would think?
It doesn't for me. For me, it's more about the brand that I'm looking at. If it's a brand that I know that is consistently putting out good quality. And for me, that's what I look to first, because like I said, like I will smoke some stuff that looks purple or dark, and it may be better than everything else in the pile for whatever reason. It just had darker terpenes that came through a little bit darker, or darker, trichomes. So yeah, we don't. I personally don't use color as a judge. I'm using mostly I'm going to the brand first, and then looking at terpenes or the profile. Hopefully, they're communicating the percentage of terpenes or the consistency before I make a decision on. We try everything out by everybody. So
yeah, you got to stay up on the market. And I'm not as big of a dabber personally. I'm a flower guy, but there definitely is, like, living in a market where you can't open a jar. There's stuff that looks outstanding, and then you open it and you're like, this shit smells like hay, or like just not right, or maybe you crack it open, there's a little bit of even mold up in there occasionally,
yeah,
that's hiding
right.
inside of a big dense nug. And so, looks can be deceiving. On the offhand, I've had some, like a lot of OG Kush, right? Like, is a strain that does not look visually, it does not look great. It's usually not frosty. I see a lot of it get dyed on, like, almost yellowish, like not an attractive color. Doesn't look frosty, but it'll knock you on your ass more than a purple punch that looks like covered in fucking trichomes, right?
Right.
Like, you can't always judge off of the look. So that's why I like what you said about concentrates earlier, is like the nose is going to show you more than anything else.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like almost everything else. Like you can compare concentrates to almost any other fine wines or to alcohols to bourbon. So like if it's not there in your nose, it's probably not going to be there in your mouth either.
And rosin has been a category that's been increasing in popularity. People have been able to produce it at scale, so the price is coming down. It first came out, obviously the price was so high, it was just not a lot of people were going to that. We're getting it down a little bit. What's your take on rosin? Like, some people think like, oh, I squish it and it's true. I'm just squishing flour, and that means it's again, back to the healthier, right? Like, they think it's healthier than a concentrate that might have used, some sort of extraction method, or a different extraction method, because you're still extracting it through rosin. What's kind of your take on that? Is rosin is a healthier choice, or is there not much difference there?
It's hard to say if it's healthier or not, right? I think people want to say it's healthier because you're not using hydrocarbons, and there probably are no residual hydrocarbons if you didn't use them. I think there's also a likelihood that you could have more plant material, which you could say is carcinogenic as well. If you wanted to compare apples to apples, that's the downside of rosin, is there will be a little bit more plant material typically than you would find from a hydrocarbon extraction. So health-wise, I think they're both, pretty similar. I think, we are making rosin. We'll roll rosin carts out relatively soon. We've been a little slower to get to the market with it, because we have really unique ways that we process our live resin in our carts and post-processing that we know are proprietary and unique to what we do, that kind of gives us what we think is a somewhat of an edge, getting higher terps and a little bit more closer tied to the actual plant and profiles. And we wanted to be able to, when we came out with rosin, still hit really high terp levels and fine tune the back end process. And we've really been struggling to get hardware that we can say we're proud of the product that we're putting it in. A lot of times, we'll see a lot of our competitors put stuff out there, and we'll go buy them all and try them and say, like, these aren't good. We could never do this. I know this oil tastes better by itself. I just dabbed it. But, I'm sure there's monetary reasons and economic reasons that they're pushing these things. So, a lot of the times, to be honest, when I do try rosin, I'll dab it and then think, man, that would have been better if it was a live resin, probably. It didn't slap quite there. You can usually taste that there is a rosin there. And we also understand that that's what people are looking for.
Mm-hmm.
There is somewhat of a rosin taste or a hash taste to it, and people like that. And it is a little bit more labor intensive, and there's more work, and definitely pheno hunting is the name of the game there. Mm-hmm. There's stuff that dumps and comes out as beautiful rosin, and there's a lot that don't, and that are poor yielders and just don't work. So I think long term, when you fast forward 10 years, if there hasn't been some new innovation in concentrates that's better than rosin and live resin, I think there'll be a home for both, that some cultivars and strains will really shine as a hash or a rosin, and some that are better off served as a live resin. For me, it's most likely going to be a really high terp live resin that's super loud. I haven't found that in too many rosins, but I guess time will tell.
Yeah. And on that, on that topic of R&D, right? For you guys, what went into, I know you said before you kind of got to this adult use market, the recreational market, you guys had already kind of had some time to get some of the processes and understanding down. What's the R&D look like for, one, finding the right strain to extract, to get not just, I mean, obviously you have to take into account yield from a business perspective, but also the terpenes and the flavors. And then also the R&D of like, originally when you guys were getting started, making sure that live resin worked in a cart, because I know distillate was somewhat established, and then just from a consumer, I could tell some people struggled with live resin because you'd see a lot of stuff crystallize in the cart
Yeah.
and not burn right. What was that process for you guys on both of the R&D on the plant and the extraction and the hardware side?
So on the plant piece, a lot of it was really hitting the books, right? We don't really believe in bro science. We don't follow it. I don't care what your opinion is on Instagram or Reddit or ICMag about how this works. We have PhDs on our team that we rely on. We also have a university partnership with Lake Superior State University, who has a DEA license, and we are doing R&D with right now to help push the entire industry forward. Quantifying what's remaining in concentrates of unknown origin, testing for flavonoids, testing for esters, testing for all the unknowns and quantifying those. Obviously, if you wanted to put all the terpenes that you found in this plant back into a distillate, it should taste like the flower, right? And we know that's not true. So from the R&D end, it's, understanding the science really of pulling everything, all the essence out of the plant. And we spend a lot of time, hitting the books and understanding how to extract and what hydrocarbons do and understanding the polarity and what's going to work and what's not going to work for how we process and then how we post-process as well. The other piece is strain selection is important for us. We really never want to sell stuff that just tastes like generic weed. We want, robust, distinctive flavor profiles where if you grab a cart, you're like, oh yeah, that's super lemon haze, that's blueberry, this is a tangy, this is super gassy, this is super GMO. It should slap you in the face and be distinctive across the board. And that's tricky, right? Because just because the plant smells like that in the vine doesn't always mean that it's gonna wash out that way in a rosin or a live resin. So, we do a lot of small test runs. We'll wash stuff both in hydrocarbon and rosin, compare them, run the terpene numbers, run the cannabinoid numbers, and then make sure it's something that's going to be viable. We got to have high terpenes really so that we can manipulate things the way we want to. And then the cartridge stuff, it seems like just now, I don't know if our company's just getting big enough that all the manufacturers are willing to really work with us and tweak all the hardware, or if they're just also maturing right along with the industry and realize that if they want the business, that they can't keep selling, nicotine-based vape quality products and think that we're gonna purchase them and use them in our products. So we test and try every pod and every cart from every manufacturer. We can't imagine there's one left out there that we haven't tested and tried. And then still, once we find one or two that we feel good about that work, we go back to them and say, okay, can we modify the aperture hole? Can we adjust the resistance? Like, what else can we do here? Can we get the voltages down? What batteries are we using? It's a lot of that back and forth and over and over and over again. And that's we rely on our senior team here, who are all just the snobbiest weed people you could imagine, to go home most nights and compare these two carts with the same oil in it, compare these three pods with the same oil in it. What voltage works best? How'd you like it at 1.6? How about 1.9? How about 2.4? It's that every night.
Nerding out to get it right, man. I like that, and I'm sure it pays off. On the conversation of strains, what are some of the things that are unique, whether it's unique or not? But what are some of the most popular strains right now, whether it's flower or in the vape and concentrate realm in the Michigan market? What are the strains that people are really catering towards?
I mean, GMO is a big Michigan one, right? I think whenever we travel out west, we get that a lot where people go, oh, what's that gross, nasty garlic shit that you guys like there? So GMO is a big staple, even though it's kind of a commercial thing. Everyone's crossed it 10 different ways. And so there are a lot of really unique, like real funky kind of cuts coming off of that. So, you know, those are always popular, but, you know, it's such a strong smell that if we're going to put out there, it's got to slap hard. If you open the ovens up, the whole property needs to reek like it. You know, and then a lot of the exotic stuff is, you know, a lot of the fruity flavors are always really popular. People love, you know, something in the orange group, tangy, you know, clementines and stuff like that. We kind of lean a little into the grapes and the strawberries and the oranges, and then we try to balance that with some gas. You know, for us, that we want to try to maintain a good clip of different profiles. So that's what we see doing the best. And then I think in the near future, we're trying to bring a bunch of the old G shit back. You know, the stuff that's missing from the market right now that we're going to start trying to put out there in a bigger way are going to be the hazes. You know, I guess that's probably one of the upsides of the market compressing and a lot of people growing are, you know, those things that people didn't grow because they were 8, 9, 10, 11 week strains. Well, would you rather sell something or not sell it? So I think that the likelihood that we can get a lot of our grow partners to grow hazes, because we love them personally and no one has them. I think we'll see some more land races. We're bringing back like some OG Tangy, some hazes, some Jack Herrera, stuff like that, that we started growing that we've kept perpetually in some of our nurseries that we're giving out to our cultivation partners to grow for us. And then we got one of our big cultivation partners is rolling out just a lot of the exotic stuff in small batches that we'll start doing real small batches of some wild new stuff from the West Coast.
What's been your personal favorite, you know, strain of the year, 2022? What's been the thing that you're going to the most or just been the loudest for you?
I think, you know, for me, the best strain this year is Lunar Lemon. We won Best Infused Pre-Rolled, number one, the Cannabis Cup. We won it with live resin as well. The cart was equally as good and probably should have won. It's a beautiful mix, basically like a lemon peel and a moon bow. So it's super lemony with a nice floral back. And that's been our favorite this year for sure.
I got
should be back in stock here in I think the end of the month, and we can't wait.
That's nice. I got some Moonbow from the archive shop in Portland. I picked up the other day, right in the drawer over here to my left. Man, I really like that strain.
Yeah. So one of our big cultivation partners is running all archive. Fletch is building a lab right down the street.
Yeah, they do it right. They do it right. What else does Element and Line Labs have up your guys' sleeve for 2022?
So Elements, you know, kind of our workhorse and our obviously, you know, our house favorite because we all love concentrates and smoking. But Line Labs has two other brands that we hold pretty close. One's called Rise, and it's a wellness focused brand that makes a custom cannabis platform. So we sell tinctures, lotions. A lotion will drop fairly soon. It's a great lotion, but the bulk of it are medicinal tablets. So a THCA, a THC, a CBD, a CBG, a CBN, and it's a custom cannabis platform. They're all 10 milligrams, and you can mix and match because we all need to titrate differently because we have different metabolisms. You can buy 2 or 3 bottles and build whatever ratios work best for you. So that's a really great product. It sells really well. We dominate that category with like a 70 or 80 share capsule tablets because we price it low. It's wellness focused. We're not trying to pillage on it. We want people to have access to this and to do really well. We also came up with a live resin infused RSO that won Cannabis Cup for that category this year as well. So for Rise, it's been a great year, and we're really proud of the products we're putting out. And there's a really great topical that we'll be putting out later this year that's dry to the touch and doesn't have a smell. So for it's not a all natural balmy type of product. It's a high-end pharmaceutical type makeup type product where after you apply it, you'll be able to touch it and it'll be dry. So it won't tug on your shirt, it won't be sticky, and you won't smell. So those, we talk to a lot of people that use topicals. It's a lot of older people, a lot of professionals that have issues. And the biggest complaint we hear is, well, I love it. It works really well, but I can't take it to work. I'm a teacher. I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor. If I stink like weed all day and it's tugging on my shirt, it's just not for me. So we're hoping to solve that problem with our topical. Our other brand is Dream Edibles, and that's probably our biggest launch of the year. We're putting out a product called Pot Dots, and Pot Dots is a candy coated chocolate similar to an M&M. They're microdosed at 1 milligram a piece, and those are dropping in 2 weeks. So it's got great branding, great packaging, but on top of that, it's, it should be the most useful edible in the market because they're 1 milligram. 100 pack will have 100 milligrams in it and 100 pot dots in it. So for when you think about an edible consumer, almost everyone has a personal story of how they either don't like edibles or they overdid it.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we say, well, hey, we have a 1 milligram microdosable edible, what's your number? What's the number that's perfect for you? Because there's a number for everyone. It could be 3. It could be 250. Now you have the means to get there in a really controlled way without overdoing it, with a comparable product to the number 1 candy in America. And it also allows the user to snack.
Mm-hmm.
That's also something that, we do a line of really high-end caramels, and people like them, and they were dosed at 24 milligrams a piece for a long time. And that's kind of the sweet spot, I think, for a lot of edible consumers, but they'd want more.
Yeah.
I want to eat 5 or 6 of these. Or, you get 1,000 milligram gummy bear, and it's like you're just licking the toe of it to get the effect. So it's really hard to titrate and to dose that. So we feel really bullish about it. We used amazing high quality Belgian chocolate or Swiss chocolate that we've brought in, and they're coming out perfect. They're all dialed right in, just a few hundredths off of a milligram up or down. So we expect it to do phenomenal and be a disruptor.
Yeah, you guys look with both of those product lines look to be solving some of the issues, because that's definitely, edibles and the snacking, people get in trouble with that, get a little bit more high than they like, or you have to then buy your regular candy and your weed candy, and then, make sure you're grabbing from the right one as you're sitting at your desk. And I like the topical idea too, because I definitely associate with that. I've had chronic pain for a long time. Although I'm a heavy flower consumer, I love the ball. Found a lot of topicals I like, but it's definitely like at home, and I throw on like a crappy t-shirt because it's just going to get super oily. And I remember one time, actually, I was in Vegas for MJ BizCon. Someone gave me a sample of a product I already knew, but it reeks like Ben Gay. And we had like walked the floor all day, and I just coated my knees with it and went down to the casino table, and everybody was just like, who smells like Ben Gay?
Yeah, right, exactly.
And I was like, oh, that's me, man. That's me. But I feel I don't feel any shame for blowing up the spot right now because my knees feel great.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. So hopefully that solves that problem. I mean, that's that's kind of how we look at a lot of innovation for products. We look at the traditional market and say, what works here? Why isn't it being done in cannabis? Usually, it's because it's difficult to do. Mm-hmm. And unfortunate for us. We're consumers of everything we make, and we have a really high standard that we hold. And so, our live resin joints are half live resin, half premium flower. That's a really difficult process.
Yeah.
It's really hard to infuse that consistently and have it work and have the consumer have a good experience with it. And that was our goal. We made it. We're going to make the best pre-roll ever. And we worked on it for, probably 5 or 6 months until we felt that it was actually almost a year, until we felt it's ready for market, and we still had to tweak it a little, but it's painstaking, and it takes us forever to fill it, just like the candy coated,
Mm-hmm.
chocolates. That's been a thing for 3 years. It's millions of dollars, a year of lead time for custom equipment from Germany. It's not something you can just jump into. There's no one making. You can't buy this equipment on a small scale. It's the same stuff that Mars uses. Mm-hmm. Which is a big capex and a whole lot of work, and we'll see here in a couple of weeks if it was all worth it. I think it will be, but nothing we do here is easy or cut and dry, and requires a lot of back end R&D and then faith in the team to be able to go out there and execute it over and over again at a high level.
Awesome, man. Yeah, well, I look forward to. Michigan's one of the markets I've yet to personally get out to, so I got to get out there, try some of these things. I'll wait a little bit till some of these new things hit the market, man, and make sure I can come out there and sample some stuff.
You're always welcome. Yeah, we got a great facility. I'd love to have you out here to come check it out.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you for hopping on here, Ryan. Is there anything you want the people to know? I know for anyone looking for more information, lionlabsmi.com and then elementextractions.com. But is there anything else you want to plug before I get you up out of here?
Yeah, I mean, hit our Instagrams. We got deleted. Obviously, that happens to everybody, and it's a big pain in the ass. My advice to everyone is to seek quality. Get to know some brands. One thing I think that's somewhat hurtful in the community is that it's like the '90s rap game. Everyone, this is my concentrate brand, and everything else sucks compared to it. Like there are a lot of folks that do great work, and you can like 2 or 3 or 4 great brands that consistently put out good quality. Some might be better in rosin, some might be better in live resin, some might be better in pre-rolls. Like, enjoy it. Don't hate everybody else out there. Lift up the other people that are doing a good job. We respect everyone that came before us. We respect all the people around us that are doing great work and are happy to help them out and lift them up and, do what we can to help other people.
Man, just preaching gospel, man. Well, this is the North American Weed Tour. We are looking at the best in legal cannabis. I got linked up with these guys because a lot of people in their market put a lot of respect on their name. So thank you, Ryan, again for hopping on here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And for everyone tuning in, we got another episode we're running later today, and then we'll be back next week with more content on the